For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, 30 minutes of time-wasting fun. I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret here as we start the show. Something that we started doing many years ago during our syndicated radio days with my top 40 show called Top of the Charts. We would do something called Live in 5. And what that was kind of a 5-minute sort of dance break. And that was right before we went live on the air, just to get the energy up. We will do kind of a pre-show, kind of a meeting about what's coming up on the show. Do we have a celebrity guest? What are we talking about? What's going on? And that happens, half hour or, 20 minutes before, hour before, depending on how many shows we're taping. It could be a little bit longer than that too. So we'll maybe start at an hour. Anyway. And then when we've got 5 minutes, 5 to live or live in 5, then we blast the music and we all just start dancing. Because what I've found over the years, I've been in broadcasting for 20 years now, is yes, it just helps you focus, right? Sometimes I think we did that in elementary school where just out of nowhere we would get up and we would just do stretches or something, just kind of silly to break up the day. And so while many workplaces do the whole, I've never liked we're going to do games today. It's Spirit Week. Everybody dress up this week. Oh, we're going to do prizes. You just want a $5 gift card for coffee. We're going to do prizes, everybody. There's going to be we don't do that shit here. That is not how my company runs. We'll just do stupid, silly things like that because why not? Now, I laugh because I'm in my 40s. My husband's not quite 40 yet, but he's the youngest and he's approaching 40. And so we're all 40 plus here. We don't need that kind of, we're going to give little mini chocolate bars today, everybody. Wear your we're going to do it. We're going to dress up our desks and see who wins a prize. I could never work in a place like that. No. And so one of our rituals that we've done for years is Live in 5. And it's sometimes even, I've been an entertainment correspondent for many years. And so when there's a celebrity death or when there's, a big scandal or something, or Kim Kardashian gets robbed or, whatever, and I'm going to be going on the air with our broadcast partners, our different radio stations, I will generally know, okay, we're going on at 7:15 tonight. So at 7:10, we're just going to blast the music throughout our building, in the studio here, in the office, wherever. We're Live in 5, and we just get silly. I already know what I'm going to be doing, right? I already know what I'm talking about. I already know what's happening. But it's just kind of that energy kick that you kind of need to kind of get into the groove. And that's what sets the tone. So today, why I'm telling you this now is we just had Let's Hear It for the Boy. Denise, is it Denise Williams? I can't think of the name. Let's Hear It for the Boy was the song that we were all dancing to, and now it's kind of got me going. So there you have it, folks. That's how we roll. Yeah. And right, like I said, it's just kind of something that sort of, you get that energy, you just get going. A lot of places will do, like if you work in a retail environment before the store opens, you might have that huddle before you all open the doors, and again, most of the staff just kind of hates that because it's just such a fake pep rally from your manager, and you're like, just open the fucking door, like let's just get to it. But that's not how we roll here. It's a totally different story. And so we have the energy, we're going, and we're on. And now we're going on a break. So I will tell you what's coming up on the show right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jay here. What's my name? JB here, back on the Scribble. Oh, what did I say? 20 years in broadcasting, right? There you go. There's one for the blooper reel. One of the things I was talking about, I was on the radio for so many years. One of the things that we got to do quite a bit over the years was travel tourism programming. And I had so much fun with that because essentially what happened was a tourism board would fly me there to wherever they are. So let's say Pittsburgh or, Halifax or wherever, Las Vegas, somewhere. And they would plan a good 3 or 4 days of free vacation, really, right? They want to promote their area. So they would come up with an itinerary. They would know what our audience was, kind of what we like doing, what our audience would enjoy. They plan the schedule. They book everything. We don't pay a goddamn thing. They fly me there. I'm on the ground for 4 days. We tape 2 weeks worth of shows to make it look like I'm there for like half a month. And then I come home. So it's a free vacation. And I'm paid to do it. So how can you pass that up? One of the things that made me interested in travel, though, just going back a few more years, was my brother telling me, I was probably in my 20s. My brother had already got married and moved out. I was still living at home with my parents. And, most families, you'll either do the Disney vacation or you'll go somewhere, Europe or something maybe, we never did that. And, when you're younger, maybe you're jealous because when you come back from Christmas break, your classmates might be talking about how we went to Florida for Christmas. Oh, we went skiing, or, oh, we did this. And we never went anywhere. Well, we always had a place out at the lake. My parents had a cottage out on the water. So for summer, we always kind of were like, well, we've got a cottage that we go to. We have like a summer house so that was pretty cool, right? That's how we always sort of looked at it was, we don't need to go anywhere. We've got a place, so we're good. And then it's once you get a little bit older and you start asking those questions. So my brother starts saying to me that, Dad's afraid to fly. That's why we've never gone anywhere. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And he said, well, think about that. When our oldest brother moved away, he got a job in 2 provinces over in Canada. And so him and his, I guess she was his fiance at the time, they had to move away. And we went to go visit them. I went with my parents and we drove. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing because we're going there for a few days. Why are we driving? It's not like, that's so... And again, it was something that I just kind of filed away. I didn't ask, I'm not paying for anything, so whatever, because I still live at home and, that's the deal. But I'm going on this trip with them. And then, like I said, I had that conversation with my other brother. Okay, Dad's afraid to fly. So when I heard that, though, that was my kind of say, you know what? I want to go and experience and see as many places and do as many things as possible. That's, for some reason, that was motivation to me. That was where... I'm not a big history person, or, I've got to go and look at the art in this, it's like I've got to go to, Italy and experience this, or go to Greece and experience this, or go to Japan and experience this. It's not about that. It's just getting out of your own bubble, right? Like your own backyard, and just going and experiencing it. One of the fun things with the shows when we would go to, as I said, Pittsburgh or Miami, wherever we were going, was these are places that you've heard of, right? I know I've heard of Miami. I've heard of, Nashville, I've heard of, but it's once you're there, we know the cliche things, right? We know the Las Vegas Strip. That just is, that's just kind of a cliche. It's just a standard thing. But then once you're in Las Vegas, and if you're there for a period of time and you know people, they're like, there's more to the city than just the Strip. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to experience. And we would do that with these radio shows, which was we would have something for singles, couples, and families. And then we would also kind of have like an oddity where it's something like this is specifically in this city that you can't. So Houston had a funeral museum. I didn't know that. Did you know there's a National Funeral Museum in Houston, Texas? Let's go there. I want to see what this is like. Okay, cool. It's not that I have an interest in it. It's not, it sounds kind of morbid as well, but I'm game. Let's go. Let's check it out. And it was just fascinating to learn just things about in your own country, in another country, somewhere far away. And so that was kind of it's not bucket list. I don't even want to make it sound like it was just kind of this is my mission in life. I'm going to visit every continent. I'm going to visit. No, it's not that. I never had a list of, okay, now I want to do Australia next. Because I was grateful for every experience that we had. Really, I was. But then when I end up getting together with my husband, who's from Brazil, and again, I've told this story on the show and to many people before, he was a listener of our radio shows, and he was streaming online in Brazil and listening to me. And so we would have our emails back and forth. We were going back however many years now at this point, 8, 9 years. And so it was fascinating for me to see him coming to Canada for the first time. He came at Christmas that year. So he experienced winter, so snow, Canada. He met me in person for the first time. He met my dogs in person for the first time that he'd only ever video chatted with. He then, 1 hour after landing in Canada and all of that, then met my family for our Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve. And there was something that was really cute about watching him experience it. It was fun to experience it with him in the moment, but this was something that we were just reflecting on at home the other day. And I said, it's kind of fun because now you're accustomed to, we split our time between Winnipeg and West Hollywood. So he's obviously more accustomed to the weather in West Hollywood, like in California, than in Canada. But, and I said, do you remember the first time that we did this? Or the first time, those were all really fun experiences. The first time that you tried, pierogies, because my family is Polish and Ukrainian. The first time that he'd never had a donut before. So the first time we went and got donuts. There were just so many different things. And one of our employees with our coffee company, Buff Boy Brewing, is from Brazil, knew my husband from before we hired him to work with us. Both of them are models. My husband's been a fitness model for many years, and so is this employee. And my husband knew English before coming to Canada and meeting me, whereas our employee only spoke Portuguese. He had never left his little village in Brazil, ever, and he's in his 30s. And, excuse me, let me rewind. His parents had never left the village. He had traveled a little bit in the rural area in Brazil for modeling work, but his parents had never left the village. I just want to correct that. I misspoke. And so when we started our coffee company several years ago, he's like, it's Buff Boy Brewing, right? So it's shirtless, it's muscle man, whatever. He's like, this guy, he's got the biggest heart. He just kind of he wants to provide for his family, his parents. It's a very, very rural, the power goes out when it rains. It's just very, very rural. And I said, well, I mean, I trust you. I mean, this is also, it's also your money. So if this goes into the ground, if we're wasting it, it's your money that you're wasting too. So it's not like I'm footing the bill for this. And he said, I think that he's very eager. He's very, if you know the show Fawlty Towers, now I'm talking to the older crew here. If you know the show Fawlty Towers, he's very much Manuel. You remember Manuel? So he's aiming to please. He just wants to do everything right. He's just not getting it. There's the language barrier. He's just not understanding. Manuel, we've just got a Brazilian Manuel is basically how this works. And so I said, whatever, okay, bring him to Los Angeles. So here we are. You go from rural Brazil to then, one of the biggest airports in the country. Let's see how this goes. And so I meet him, and I was like, he looks very similar to my husband as well, by the way, which is kind of eerie. And so, we give him a shot. I'm kind of like, he barely speaks a word of English, like literally 5 words he knows. Well, you know what? My husband, like I said, my husband was able to read and write it. He would speak it very slowly, but it took, we made it work. And so that's how my husband convinced me. He's like, look at how we've come along, over the years. I said, I know, but I wasn't paying you to be, like it's a little bit different when I'm going to be paying you to learn English now. No, I wasn't doing that. We were just having fun chatting and getting to know each other. You learned English in the process. 2 completely different things where not only is this going to be culture shock for this guy, and it's a job now at the same time, and he has to live with his coworkers who are California boys. They're like California frat boys. Is this really going to work or not? Well, turns out it has. And so I'm fascinated to kind of watch because, again, he's even more less traveled than my husband was when my husband left Brazil. But there's something that's just intriguing because everything is new to him. He'd never heard of dogs living in a house before. He'd never even heard of a dog. And when you think about that and go, that's right, there's certain parts of the world where people just don't have pets like that. They just don't do things. So we take it for granted where, he freaks out when he saw a car wash for the first time. He's like, what is that? What is going on? Well, you take your car and you put it through the bath is what he was calling it. So there's this innocence to it. And at times you're also kind of, but this is a 30-year-old guy who's very childlike. There's nothing wrong with him mentally. This is just all very new to him. He'd never had a dog. First of all, never met a dog. Secondly, never had an animal like that in a house before. So here's something that he had said this to me before, that, the dogs, they don't even need to understand his language. He's able to communicate with them. They understand that, it's cuddling, it's loving, it's very, trusting. It's, I'm here to care for you. I'm here to walk you. You feel safe with me. So I said, it's when you take that step back and you're like, wow, right? It's just, so that's why I'm talking about this today, because I get to kind of live through these people's eyes. And so when we had our employee come to Canada, we had him come to our house for Thanksgiving, which he did last year as well. But same thing with him, where he came to our family get-together, and he'd never gone to a hockey game. And so I've got connections. So I was like, well, all right, I can hook us up with the team. So we ended up going earlier before the game, and he watched them practice. He was able to meet the guys. He got a jersey with his name on it. This was all so fascinating. So again, you're thinking this is a 30-year-old man who's having experiences that regular kids in North America get, right? When you go to the hockey game and you meet these guys, it's so cool. He's never been exposed to this kind of a thing. So the simple thing of, seeing a car wash, going on a city bus. The coffee guys ended up texting me one day. He wants to, he sees the bus going by all the time and he wants to go on a bus. Have at it. It's Los Angeles. I'm not going on a city bus. Are you kidding? My insurance company won't let me do that. It's public transit in Los Angeles. Get lost. I'm not going on that. I can get stabbed. Are you kidding? Not a chance. So there was a bit of fun to it as well. And when we were in Canada for Thanksgiving, we did my family thing. We did the hockey game the next day. And there's a Brazilian restaurant where, it's his culture, it's his food, it's served, a barbecue style or whatever it was. And he was just in heaven. This was just the coolest thing for him. So it's just fascinating to witness people experiencing new things that they either didn't know exist or they'd never considered before. The other week I was talking about Dreams Take Flight. That's the thing I do with Air Canada, where these kids have never been on a plane, yet they go from Canada to Disney World or Disneyland for a day and then come home, and their lives are changed because they've just had this new experience. They've never been on a plane. They've never left their city. They've never done anything like that. And now here they are, VIP access at Disney, and they're going on all the rides. And then they come back home the same day. So it's fascinating as an adult to kind of experience new things and watch people do that. So that's the message of this segment, which is go out and explore and do things. Okay, husband, we're going to Houston. Okay, great. What do you want to do? I don't know. Let's just look for strange things to do, whether that's, look on the tourism board website or read reviews or, go to blogs, whatever it is. Let's just find, hey, there's a funeral museum. It sounds so stupid and crazy, but you know what? Whatever. We don't have anything planned that morning. Let's go to the funeral. Let's just go. Let's just try it. Let's see what it is. If it's stupid, then whatever. We'll make the most of it. That's kind of always been how our relationship works, is we're not necessarily bored by things, or we'll find a way to either spin it and have a laugh, get silly, have a good time with it, which is what we do. And so it's something that I like telling people now. I feel like I'm a retired traveler at this point. We don't really go as many places as we did back in the day. And I love when people will message me, whether it's people I know or people like listeners on our show, whatever it is. Oh, hey, you were in Nashville. It happened, believe it or not. 2 separate people. One was she was a friend from when I was a teenager, and we just recently reconnected a couple years ago, and we've stayed in touch because I was talking about the lake. Growing up as a kid, she was one of our neighbors out there. I met her when I was a teenager. We're both in our 40s now. She's got married, got a kid, but for some reason we just connected. I don't remember if she posted something on Facebook and I commented, or she just messaged me out of the blue. That then we just kind of kept up the conversation. That's right, it was Dixie Chicks. We bonded over Dixie Chicks back in the day, and then there was a story about them in the news, so I messaged her, and I said, thinking of you, And so she said, I'm planning to go to Nashville, and I saw that you had gone there, you did something, like, what was it like? And then, total coincidence, I'm replying to her, my cousin's wife, my cousin Jason, his wife, messages me as well, as I'm writing back to my long-lost friend. My cousin's wife says, hey, we're going to Nashville for Halloween. Just wondering what your recommendations. And I thought, this is crazy. Of all the time, these people have never met each other, so they don't know. Right? There's no way that they would even. And I thought, how weird is that? And it's great because then I can go and say, well, it depends on what you want to do. You have to remember that when I go there, it's a little bit different than the average traveler who's going. But they've got that excitement because they're going to explore this place. They want to, know what I did. They want to see it. And I love that because, I went to this place, I went to that place. That was why we would do the travel programming. So then I could send them the link and go, look at these are the things that I did. You can see it. It's still online. Go to it. And then I want to hear back from them when they come back. I'm like, so what did you end up doing? What, did you have a good time? Was it what you expected? I never tell people you should do this. Because I don't know, if you're going with your kids, then if they don't like it, I don't want to be responsible for that. Oh, well, Jeremy said, we're not. I said, I enjoyed it. That's up to you. I said, this was the experience overall, because I was also presenting my things for a general audience as well, right? It wasn't necessarily travelers that we were targeting. It could have been moms. It could have been couples. That's why we did singles, couples, and families, like I said. So I have to present it in a general sense. This is the experience. This is what we did. And you decide, oh, my kids would like that. Oh, I don't think that they would. Oh, my husband, right? You draw the conclusion if you want to go and do it. I was paid to enjoy all of it. So I wasn't there necessarily giving my opinion and saying, because, right? You're giving me however much money to say how great this place is. It's a great place. That's what I'm going to do because that's what I'm being paid to say. So this is what we did. Here's the pictures of it. Here's me talking to somebody. You can draw your own conclusion. If you like it, great. And so that's where so when we had the employee over in Canada, there was just something that was just so fun about watching him. I mean, he's flown now, so that wasn't a big thing, but just the little things about having, dogs pay attention to him and playing with dogs, or just everything, especially with Canada, with, snow, to watch him like play in the snow. It's very, very bizarre at first. I'll admit. It was kind of weird. Like, here's a 30-year-old grown. He's bigger than me. This is a muscle man. Here he is, losing his shit, looking outside that it's snowing, right? That's something that you did as a kid, right? You'd look out the window. Oh my God, it's snowing. Yay, it's snowing. We would do that, right? Every morning when we wake up, we'd be like, did it snow last night? Did it snow last night? And then you look at the ground. Yes, it snowed. I don't know. For some reason, that was a big deal as a kid. Well, imagine having never seen snow before. Ever. Not even like on TV or anything. You've just never experienced it. You don't know really what it is. You don't know anything. That's how isolated he was coming from. Or, that's how isolated his village, his little area was. Really. Places like that still exist, folks. Especially in Brazil, my God. But I would like to know, so this is where I'm going to open it up to you, audience participation time. Is there somewhere where two things that you thought would be a great experience and it was not, or that you were thinking would not be a great experience, but really was? You were pleasantly surprised. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I guess I'm also kind of asking about your travel nightmare stories. That's always fun. We've never had that because, like I said, anytime when I was the majority of my travel in my adult life has been business related. So my trips were always very. Flying first class. I was picked up at the airport. I had a welcome basket of wine and cheese and goodies in my hotel suite. I had the best view from my hotel room. I mean, I was very spoiled as a traveler. So any of those kinds of things that you might run into as an average traveler, I didn't have those bumps in the road because there was always that buffer from tourism people or whoever was on the ground there. That was them to worry about it, not me. So I enjoy hearing people's travel stories. Now, I also will give you points, though, if you can turn that into either a fun or a positive, like I said about my husband, right, where we can find the humor in something, we can find the enjoyment out of it. If you were able to do that, then I totally want to hear, I want to hear the story either way, but that'll get me. Or if it was just a complete nightmare and there was no recovering no matter what you did, I also want to hear that. See, as I'm talking it through, I'm also coming up with, send me your stories. Again, live at jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. We're almost out of time. During the break, though, my producer Bonnie reminded me. I said that we haven't had any travel nightmare stories. She's like, China. Now, she said that, and I was just like, oh my God, I've got less than 3 minutes left. I can't even get into that story because, yeah, China. Very quickly, though. It was a press. Well, it wasn't a press trip. Here's the deal. I got an email from a tourism board that invited me to this international tourism festival in China. The U.S. was having a real trouble with the country of China at that time, and I said, well, let me run it by our radio station. So I didn't respond for about a week. I ran it by a bunch of radio stations. What do you guys think of this? It's a tourism thing. What do you? So I come back a week later and I reply and I say, yeah, we're in. They came back and said, this was actually for like tour operators, for travel agents kind of a thing. It wasn't for the press. You got this by accident. It was a mistake. And I said, no, we're doing this because you invited me. I don't care. I've already cleared this with very, very important people. It's happening. So I should have actually just taken a loss and said, no, we're not doing it. And see, now I'm setting this up and I'm teasing you and I can't even tell you the story. So maybe, should we do it this way? Should I tell you about my... Shit, we're out of time, you guys. Here's the deal. It was just a clusterfuck. It was everything from flights being late to me, not having a suitcase, so I didn't have clothing. I was wearing sweaty clothes for 3 days straight in the humidity of China. One of our tour guides didn't even really speak English, and also he didn't even know where we were going. He was Wikipedia-ing the places that we were going to. while we were on the way. So the tour people from Canada are asking questions because they want to bring their clients or whatever here, right? They want to give recommendations, and they can't even do that because we don't know what this guy's saying, and he also doesn't even know anything about these places. So we can just Google stuff on our own and get the information that way. It was a nightmare from the first minute. And we were going to plan 2 weeks of programming. I emailed back, I think 3 days in, and I said, I'm not getting any content. We're not doing this. I think I recorded maybe one segment when I was there because I can't even talk with nobody is speaking English. Like, who am I talking to? Our translator doesn't even know what this guy is saying because it's either some other language we just didn't know. So I do have to retract the statement that we never had a nightmare travel story. I certainly did. It was a week in China. Maybe I'll get to that another time. But again, my email address, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. I would love to hear your travel nightmare stories. But again, how you had a positive spin on it. All right. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. It's always awesome hearing from you. And I have to do that whole, remember, if you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast. Talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @thescribbleshow. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.